What did I just say about talking over each other? Guys,
We're
what
live.
did I just say?
What's going on, guys? It is Disney Dan here, and back with another episode of my Puppetry podcast, Getting Felt Up, a Puppetry podcast with Dan, Nate, and friends. So this is the third time we've done this. I'd just like to do a little introduction, just because I know this is a little different and strange for while I'm doing this, I'm also tweeting and Facebooking while I'm telling you what's going on. So tonight we have a really great guest who's been a guest on our podcast several times before. And if you want to check those episodes out, just check us out on iTunes and Stitcher and whatnot. You can find some of the episodes. He was one of our first guests. He came back many, many times. He has some really phenomenal stories about all sorts of wonderful puppet things. But in particular, because this is Disney Dan's YouTube channel, I thought I would do a little bit of a mixer, because Mr. Gale, our guest tonight, worked at Disney and Universal theme parks. What was it, Mark, in the early 90s? We were trying to figure this out.
Well, no, this was the late 90s.
Oh, late 90s.
Early aughts.
Gotcha. So he worked there for a few years, has some really great stories. One kind of sad, depressing story, but overall, it's a really great chat. So I'm looking forward to you guys meeting him and talking with him. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Marc Gill, welcome to the show.
Sad story? I don't remember the sad story.
Yeah, you were working at the Disney. You were working on the Disney parks on a very sad day, we'll say.
Oh, right.
Or you were at the Universal
when they found that floating body in the
right, the floating body day, of course.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
How could you forget the floating body day?
So
it just wasn't sad for you.
Yeah, it was great for me.
That's
how you take care of a problem, boys.
So I just shared it on Facebook and Twitter. If you guys want to take a hot second, and share or tweet or whatnot. And so
I'm gonna do that.
So joining me, as always, is my co-host Nate, Mr. Nate Beagle, natebeagle.com. As you can see, probably a shirt hanging in the background.
Product placement extraordinaire. Right
my co-host, and then we also have one of our new guest co-hosts, Mr. James Woytall. Right there he is. He's probably muted right now because he's building puppets as we speak.
And cooking burgers. He's building puppets, he's cooking burgers, and drinking beer.
I'm a triple threat.
He's a
triple threat. So, and then, of course, our special guest today is Mr. Marc Gill. How are you, Mr. Gale?
Hello, I'm good. It's good to be back, boys. I have missed you, so look at your faces.
Look at your face, your beautiful face, and that beautiful background.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'm sitting in my little hobbit hole here. This is where I try to spend all of my time in here. It's nice and safe. Safe in here.
Mr. Gale not only is a puppeteer and learned man, but he also collects all kinds of little figurines and
learned man, yes.
Yeah, and also all kinds of great stuff. You can see the Dark Crystal poster there behind his head. Right. One of our favorite films here at the podcast.
Is that an original print?
It's an original print. That is from in 1982, the marquee. Well, I grew up in Anderson, Indiana, and that is from the Mounds Mall where I saw the film.
Wow, really? Cool. I was I've just recently been picking up original like Muppet movie posters. I've been because I'm in my cave right now, I guess, quote unquote. So as I was looking for like the Muppet movie, the Muppet Caper, like the original Muppet movies, I was trying to find like an uncreased movie poster because I don't want to have creases in them, only to find out that is how movie posters were shipped back in the day, is that they were folded into eighths, and so they were folded.
There it is, same thing. It's into eighths.
Yeah, it's creased. So it's impossible. So if you find some of these original movie posters that aren't creased, they're reprints. The creased movie posters are the originals. But I've got Muppets Christmas Carol right in front of me and Muppets Treasure Island. Muppets Christmas Carol theater original print is gorgeous. It has like gold foil on it and stuff like that. They're beautiful. So I'm a big fan of I don't know if you've ever. I got it at D23 2 years ago, and when I go back this year, I went to Disney 2 years ago. It was my first time to D23, and I ended up like having to buy a duffel bag and paying like $80 to check it on the flight because you
bought an empty bag.
Yeah, I had to buy an empty bag because I got so much like free swag, and I bought so many like posters and stuff like that. I couldn't handle it. I had to.
This is the poster I want to find from this.
Exhibit. Well, I have that one. It's right up there.
Yeah, I've been looking for a copy of it for forever. I can't find one.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Can you show that one more time so I can?
This is a paperback, a book from way back in the day, and this was an exhibit in New York in the early '80s.
Oh wow! So that was a print. Is it like a square print like that?
They did a print of it.
It's a big rectangle.
Rectangular print. Yeah.
Go get it off the wall, Mark. Go get it off the wall right now.
I'm not gonna get. I'm gonna tell you what it looks like. It's a big rectangle. It looks like that, and it's got a section at the bottom where you can have autographs. And I got a story for you here that's gonna break your heart. I had Jim Henson and Frank Oz signed a copy of Jim Henson and Frank Oz. I got to meet Jim and Frank years and years ago. And
little baby Marc Gill.
The copy
with a pink shirt.
The poster with a pink shirt. I was the prettiest girl at the 1989 National Puppetry Festival at MIT. And but that poster got somehow as things will happen in life, into my parents' garage and rumpled up, dirtied, and just destroyed beyond all recognition.
Wow, that's a heartbreaker.
That's a story to start everybody off, bring everybody down. But I have another one. I have a replacement that I got at the when it was at the original O'Neill Puppetry Conference back in '91.
Yeah, I've been looking on eBay and stuff. I can't find one. Someday I'll find one, but I don't know where I put it.
You'll never find one, James. Just
who think, did John Barrett take that photo?
It's not a big stretch for me. Why do you think I'm drinking alone in a basement?
I know. Look at you.
I've recently, my big hunt right now, Muppet memorabilia wise, is I had no idea they released these, but they released a series of pins called A Piece of History at the Disney parks. And so they're a piece of Disney history, and there are 3 pins, all based off of the Muppet Vision 3D. And they refurbished the Statler and Waldorf puppets at one point, and got them new shirts and stuff like that. They refurbed the Swedish Chef puppet at one point and got him a new outfit, and then the original run of 3D glasses. And so what they did was they took the original one of the glasses from the original run, and then the shirts from the Swedish Chef and Statler and Waldorf, and then they cut them up and integrated the pieces into these collectible pins, and only made like 1,000 of each of them.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. They're really really cool, and they have like these little like bubbles with like pieces of the ride in it, and of the original ride, which is awesome.
Oh wow, yeah, that is neat.
Yeah, a piece of history. I'm saying that now, and now everyone's gonna go and buy them. No, don't do that. But
relic, Disney relics.
Like I'm a little picky. I know that Mark's like this as a collector, but
I'm very picky.
I have a few of the pins. I have some of them already, but I want the pins with the pin back, because like the pin back has this beautiful artwork on it, because some of the like, I think Statler and Waldorf's clothes were taken from Disneyland, but the Swedish Chef's clothes were taken from Disney World. And so like the pin cards have like all these fancy stuff on it. But hey, talking too much about memorabilia, let's chat about you, Mr. Gale. So one of the cool things, and we've talked to you many times in this podcast about all your puppetry endeavors and the times you were on the set of the Fraggles, and you met Jim Henson, and you have all these wonderful stories. But some of my favorite stories of yours are working at Disney parks or at Florida parks, right? Because it was only in Florida you worked.
It was only in Florida. Yeah, I only worked at Disney World.
Yeah, okay.
It was only for a couple of years, right at the end of it was 99 to 01. I came down there because I'd always wanted to. I've loved Disney my whole life, and I had sort of stepped away a little bit from puppetry in my life after I went to UConn and graduated in the early '90s, and then took a few years off and decided to get back into the game. And I went just on a whim down to Disney World to see, because I didn't feel quite ready to just move right to New York City and show up at Sesame Street. So I thought, well, I'll go down to Disney World and see if they've got anything going on down there. And sure enough, they had just started doing the Bear in the Big Blue House show live on stage.
So that was back when it was called Disney Junior Live, right?
It was before that.
Playhouse Disney.
Playhouse.
It was before that. It was before that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was just Bear in the Big Blue House live on stage.
Oh, okay, cool.
So yeah, it was the first show at that they were doing at that theater with puppets, and yeah, I mean, I just walked in off the street at the casting office, and they said, "My God, where have you been? I mean, we need." They had just started the show, and there was only a few puppeteers there who had the Muppet style puppeteering training, and they were wanting to do more shows, so they were in desperate need of people to come in and train and be able to do this.
So was it in the same space that Disney Junior Live is in now? Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And so this was the original show was just Bear in the Big Blue House with no interstitials of other Playhouse Disney stuff cut into it.
Nope, it was all Bear in the Big Blue House.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I wandered in off the street and got hired immediately, and found myself amidst some of the people that you're working with now, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's Billy Horn. Do you work with Billy?
I do work with Billy Horn.
There's a bunch of people. Brett O'Quinn. You guys got to get Brett O'Quinn on the show.
Brett is out in California right now.
Yeah, he's out in California. But yeah, I worked with a bunch of those people. So that is how my little adventure at Disney World started.
So when you were there at our dear friend and future guest of the podcast, Miss Stacy Gordon is watching right now, who was working in the parks in 1999 as well, and so she's
oh my God, really?
She was working in the parks at the same time. Yeah, but those parks are, Nate, how many people work at Disney right now? You told me the number the other
good, over 75,000.
Yeah, so it's a small city.
For all four parks combined, cast members from every walk of and every aspect of Walt Disney World, it's well over 75,000.
Wow, that's amazing. So Stacey's just telling me in a message that she auditioned for the show, but they didn't put her in because they said that she was working at Magic Kingdom, so she couldn't. Stacey is one of the most recent additions to the cast of Sesame Street. For those viewers who
not letting you, they wanted you to work in one place and not letting you.
And that's since changed. I know that's like now they bounce you all over the place.
It was upsetting. I had because they had another show back in that time period called Legend of the Lion King over at the Magic Kingdom, which was a great show. I mean, those puppets were they were giant, rod puppets. A lot of them, you could stick them up on your shoulder on these giant, horrible racks that were really heavy. But I mean, they had all these gears and moved around really mechanically, and I loved it. And I went on audition for that and got that too. But they told me, look, you got to make a decision. You're going to do this show or you're going to stay at Bear. Now, what's it going to be? Because you can't have both. I said, why? Why would you do that? You're making me sad.
That's awesome.
You're making the world sad. So I said, well, screw it.
And that Lion King show, that Lion King show was like the grandfather of the Festival of the Lion King, right? Didn't they reuse some of the elements of that into the Festival of the Lion King?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Or maybe it was there was a lot. I know that the Festival of the Lion King was a bunch of repurposed props. I thought it was from that show, or it was from a parade, one of the Lion King parades. I know they repurposed a ton of stuff that they had, refurbed it and made a show around it.
Well, they should have, because they were beautiful puppets. They were these giant rod operated things. The Scar was gigantic. I mean, it was a really great show.
Where that show, it was the Legend of the Lion King, right, Mark?
Legend of the Lion King.
That is now where, if people are familiar with Disney World now, is where the Phil Har Magic is show.
Gotcha.
Right behind the carousel.
And I not to go off on a little side tangent, but I just recently found this amazing YouTuber called Yesterworld. The world Yesterworld, I think, is what he calls it. He's just some really great history videos about Disney and Universal parks, and one of them was all about Beastly Kingdom, the abandoned addition that they had planned for Animal Kingdom, where it was all about mythical beasts like dragons and unicorns and stuff like that.
Which is why it's funny, if you still look at the logo,
They still have the dragon.
The original the logo for Animal Kingdom still has a dragon
still on there,
right there in the center.
I wish they would do that. One
of the main streets is still called like Unicorn Lane or something like that. And now it's completely dead for two great reasons. And all the credit goes to Yesterworld. Please go find him, subscribe to him because he's phenomenal. But
does his research
as they delayed when they opened up Animal Kingdom, attendance dropped. A lot of attendance would drop in the other parks like 3 to 5%. Attendance dropped like 12 to 15% across the board when they opened up Animal Kingdom. So they all panicked and they cut all of the future investments for Animal Kingdom and started like adding stuff to the other parks to like, muster up some interest in the other parks. And so with that, Beastly Kingdom was like put on hold. And so when it was put on hold, they're like, okay, well, we're going to revamp some of the other parks. And at this time, Islands of Adventure was being planned. Yeah. And they're like, Islands of Adventure is going to open up. And when that opens up, we're going to then drop a ton of cash in Animal Kingdom and make a huge like e-ticket attraction so that, we have some competition. And so Islands of Adventure opened up and it like kind of flopped for the first couple of years. No, it really didn't have that great of attendance. And then Michael Eisner went to Islands of Adventure, getting all ramped up to build Beastly Kingdom, which is now where Pandora is. It's never going to happen because Pandora has now taken the spot. Michael Eisner got very excited. He went to Islands of Adventure finally after a few years after it opened and found half of Beastly Kingdom in Islands of Adventure because they laid off all of those park designers and they went to work at Islands of Adventure and reused a ton of the ideas in the medieval section. So like the big dragon, the dueling dragon roller coaster was planned for Beastly Kingdom and Disney. Like so many elements of the mythological, like it was all reused and repurposed. It's absolutely incredible. So
that's pretty cool. I did not know. I did not know that.
Go watch this video about Beastly Kingdom. He has all this like concept art and stuff like that he rummaged up.
Well, it was a good idea. I don't know why it had to go into the trash.
Because by the time they went to do it, they're like, well, it's done already. It's Islands of Adventure, like more or less.
They should have done it first, Dan. They should have jumped on that.
Simpsons did it first. Am I alone in thinking that Pandora is a terrible, terrible idea?
Well, they're about
it was one movie. Yes, it did very well. Yes, there are sequels coming. Who cares about 8-foot-tall cat people?
Well, all the kids.
Well, I can tell you.
Every kid wants to see.
I can tell you right now. It's about to open. I can tell you right now. There are no the world in and of itself is. I have physically seen snippets of it, and it is absolutely stunning. It's a gorgeous. It's extremely impressive, and it is even dropped. It has dropped the jaws of people that are like, who cares about Avatar? It does take place in that world in the movie, but it is not really movie centric. So it's
just an environment, an experience,
right? It's the planet that movie takes place on, and there's no blue cats walking around.
Damn, well, then what's the point?
I just wonder, how did they come to this decision?
Well, they came to the decision shortly after the movie first initially came out. They broke ground on this thing like back in 2009. I want to say
it's been in development for a long time. Have you seen it? I don't know if either of you, James or Mark, have seen photos of it, but they have the floating mount. They have the floating mountains there, and it's just breathtaking. And the rides are. The animatronics that they have in the rides are just state of the art.
Oh,
it's exciting.
Once of all of those things, I just sit here and go, I've watched the movie. It was very pretty. The story is incredibly banal.
So there is to your credit about the story, there is zero narrative in this park. It's not about there's because it's James Cameron says it takes place decades after.
Almost in real time since the real movie came out.
Yeah, but like no, after the fourth
people, they're all extinct because they're not walking around.
Everybody's at
kind of human disease, and they all died, much like the Native American narrative that they were.
Yeah, that's enough, James.
But so there's no narrative about the war, and it's all about just it's like a preservation.
Right. And it's all about the nature and the creatures that live on that planet.
I just would have thought that they would have gone for something more. I know that they're doing Star Wars Land. I thought, maybe that would be a perfect place to redo the Ewok village and do something spectacular with that environment. Yeah,
well, they have the little Ewok huts right there by the Star Tours. If you walk past the little big AT-AT,
I'm talking about they could go hog wild.
I'll tell you exactly why they're doing it. It's a direct response to things like Harry Potter World. Disney has not had a IP dedicated section of their parks. They've had things like that. They've had like Pixar Land, but it's like a little playground with like a ride. They haven't like said, here's a chunk of our property. We're going to dedicate it to an IP like Islands of Adventure. Harry Potter is the Harry Potter world is going to dramatically influence park development for the next 15-20 years.
The general idea now for these new lands that are opening, Pandora, Star Wars Land, and the Toy Story Land, is now Disney is taking where you enter those lands through the park that they're stationed in, but then you technically leave Disney World, and it's going to be very immersive. And you are not in Disney World anymore. Mickey is not around. They're not selling Mickey Mouse things in these worlds. You are in this world. When you are on Star Wars Land, you're in whatever this new planet is that they're actually designating it as.
Right.
And then Toy Story Land, I believe it's like you're in Andy's backyard.
And that's all fine. I just can't believe they're betting the ranch on Avatar. I'm with you.
Well, they can't do anything with Marvel. That's the problem, because Universal.
Well, eventually that's going to be over with.
Not yet. It's almost done, James. That exclusive, those exclusive rights, and on top of which they only have the rights locked up to the movies that were like the franchises that were released and being used at the time. So that's why we're getting Guardians of the Galaxy, because Guardians of the Galaxy was like this C-player comic that just wasn't part of the deal. You know what I mean? So Iron Man, the Iron Man ride out in China, I mean, they're slowly developing these rides and moving them around. So yeah, that's actually
going to get them all. Disney will have everything. Disney will have you, James.
Well, they will have you.
They already got me.
They've already got Nate.
Yeah, you
got me. I escaped. Ha-ha.
You're the park guys. I'm not a park guy. That was never my deal.
Which is why you're part of the conversation, because we like Grumpy James yelling about it.
It's not grumpy. It just the place weirds me out a little bit.
Yeah, I can see why.
Before we stray too much into what we were talking about, just a really quick harken back on we were talking about Festival of the Lion King versus Legend of the Lion King. I have some insider knowledge from past and future guests of the podcast, Mr. Calvin Lester, who is in charge of Bird Call, who was just on the podcast not too long ago.
I know him.
They
fine man.
He chimed in for a minute. He's out, but he chimed in really quick and said nothing was reused for Festival of the Lion King from Legend of the Lion King. However, Festival of the Lion King did end up using some of the Lion King parade floats stuff.
Aha.
So, there you have it.
Now we can all sleep tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, we can all sleep a little bit better.
I've never felt more at ease.
Especially James.
So, Mark, talk to us about early, late '90s Disney parks, because you've been to the parks a few times recently. But talk to us about like working there. What was it like? Other than the segregation of you can only work at one park at a time.
Oh, it was great. It was one of those things where all of a sudden, the dream has come true. I did it. I'm working at Disney World. Because when I was a kid, I wanted to live at Disney World, and just having the access to all the behind the scenes, being able to go into the tunnels under the Magic Kingdom. It was
living a laundromat.
The laundromat was just amazing. It was just it was mind blowing. And I didn't know anybody. I just went straight into Florida. I had no idea who the puppeteers were, and they were a tight knit group. Let me tell you, because they had worked together for years. And I had just come in off the streets, and they were looking at me all suspicious. Who's this guy? How did he just walk in here like that? So, but you know, I made some good friendships there, and I got a good story for. I got in trouble real early in the game. I had a good friend of mine, Jeff Stebla, come to visit me, and he was a great Disney fan as well. But he had long hair at the time. Now at the you know, the Disney Gestapo, I mean, you got to be clean shaved. Is that still the case, Nate? You can't have any facial hair.
It is. Well,
look at your squeaky clean face.
I'm not a little I'm a little scruffy, but I do have to. Yes, the Disney look is still very much apparent. But you can have a full beard. You can have a full beard. Now it has to be full, quote unquote full.
It has to be full.
Yeah, you can't have
ketchup in your soup beard.
Yeah, like you can have a Dan beard. Like you can have
Dan beard. This beard's not going to cut it. It's not.
No, your beard would not cut it, Mark. You would be immediately reprimanded.
Well, that's the story of my life.
Deutschland über alles.
But what happened was I, just being as stupid as I can be sometimes, you know, I take my friend Stebla to the park, and we were just having a ball, you know, and we wanted to get over to the last Carousel of Progress show for the day. And I said, well, you know what? We can just go under. I can show you the tunnels. How about that? And he's like, what? That's great. Let's do it. Well, come on, Stebla.
I'm sweating just thinking about where this story is going.
So I take him down there. We're just walking around, pointing at everything. Look at this, Jeff. Oh, I can't believe it. And we're getting ready to just go right up the stairs up to wherever I was going to come out. That was fairly close to the ride. And we get some guy some security guy at the end of the hallway. He's like, hey, you two, come here. Oh God, you know, the heart's stopping. I'm like, oh my God, what's happened? This is how stupid I am. So this guy, you know, this is the 90s. So, you know, Stebla's got a big camera with film. We were carrying film canisters around. He thought we were spies for Universal, seriously. But so he's clued in on this because Stebla's got long hair. So he knows he's not supposed to be there. You got to be clean. And Stebla was dirty. So he's like, it's sick. You know, he's taking us in. We got security over here. Now and I had just started working there. I had moved, you know, my whole life. I'd been there for maybe a month.
And hadn't seen the Disney jail yet.
Right. Now I'm going to Disney jail. Right. So, and they kept us right down there in the rooms with the hot lamps and just waiting. And the guy kept coming in and questioning me, like, what are you really doing? How can you really be this stupid? I am really this stupid. I was innocently just showing my dear friend. We were just trying to make the last Carousel Progress show of the day. Please don't fire me. Stebla had to get up and give, you know, great moments with Mr. Lincoln speech about what a wonderful guy I was and how I've been coming to these parks. My family's been coming to these parks for years. And please. So eventually, they even had to call in the supervisor for the Bear the Big Blue House show at the time. Her name was, she's a Facebook friend of mine, Lindsay. I can't remember right now, but she had to come. They had to wake her up and get her to come in and vouch for me that I'm just an idiot. And so they eventually, I mean, we must have been down there for 3 hours.
For your idiocy.
Yes. He's not a spy. He's not doing anything bad here. He's just really stupid.
Well, now the big question is, did you get to see the last Carousel of Progress?
We didn't. We missed it. We missed the show. We got so I get suspended. Well, now you're on suspension, which meant that I couldn't work for. I only worked part time on the weekends, so I couldn't work the next weekend. And I thought, oh my God, you know, the whole Puppeteer cast is already suspicious of me. Now I've been here for like 3 weeks, and I've already gone to jail.
You're blacklisted. So, you're a spy.
So I'm a spy, and they escorted us out of the park. We couldn't go to Disney World for the rest of the time that Stebla was visiting on his trip. But I worked at Universal at the same time, so he just went over to Universal, and everything was fine.
The plot thickens.
You double dipper.
But they did. They took his camera and his film. I mean, it was CIA.
They took his film out of the camera?
They took his film out of the camera.
Like, looked at the negatives?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Threw it away.
See, now what you
They
got
threw it away.
The modern way to combat that now is with your digital cameras and your phones. Just make sure everything's getting backed up right to that
Right to the cloud.
Yeah, well, everything's deleted here, but it's all saved.
Everybody has everything now, Disney.
Stacy Gordon just shared a story with me of a friend she had that got terminated for taking pictures in the tunnel that worked there. And then also she just told me that Tom Hanks was visiting the park, and one of her friends who was working in quick service, food service, yelled at him, "Run, Forrest, run," while she was on the clock, and quick, and apparently quickly got terminated after that.
Got removed. Wow.
Yeah.
At least she went out. She went out with a blaze in that one.
That's if you're gonna go out with a blaze.
We've got to have Stacy on to tell all these great stories. I can't wait to have Stacy.
Yeah.
So what? Okay. So what was the worst? I love asking this to Disney cast members or ex-cast members. What was the worst?
Yeah, not current cast members.
What was the worst guest interaction you had while working at the parks?
Well, it couldn't have been meeting me.
Well, no, that's the worst thing that's happened to me of all time.
What, James Boytall has been the worst thing that's happened to you of all time?
I didn't really have a bad experience. I mean, it was nice because, you're just under the stage. I didn't really interact.
You had no face. You had no face-to-face interactions.
No face. I used to go. I used to get there. Or you had to get there at the crack ass of dawn, and you'd get up, and I'd either take a nap in the green room, or I'd go take a nap under the stage because it was nice and dark and cool and quiet. Nobody's coming out of there. And well, what was fun is, then the first audiences would start to come in, and you could get some good people watching from under the stage, watching the kids. You could start having a little fun with them, peeking up with. I did Pip and Pop a lot of the time, so you peek them up over the top, and
you're like, "I saw them." And they're like, "No."
Yeah. I swear he was there, Mom. It really happened.
That's awesome.
Meanwhile, I remember building all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
we were making all those puppets because that was when I was at Henson.
So, that's right. Yes. You were building the puppets for that
I
the
was
show.
Mostly doing Bear,
that
but
particular
I built a couple,
show.
Yeah.
I built a couple sets of Pip and Pops.
And they were bigger than the regular.
They were.
I guess it's the same thing you're dealing with now, Nate. With
they have to. Yeah, I mean, you think about it logistically. When you're playing them live in front of massive audiences, they have to be upsized a little bit from, the typical TV film size.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you built. I know you worked on some of the bears for the live show, James. I didn't know you worked on some of the other stuff.
There were multiple sets because there was.
Did you ever jump in the bear suit, Mark?
I did get inside it once. One of them caught fire.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, they had a little camera in there.
They melt. I know one of them. They melted an entire haunch because they put it next to a space heater, because it had gotten all sweaty. So the haunch completely melted away. And
well, this was one of the.
I remember a head catching on fire.
Yeah, there was a head. It started to.
Well, they had a pinhole camera in one of Bear's eyes.
Yes,
that was it, and the camera shorted out, so it started to smoke during one of the shows. So Bear's,
I do remember that one coming back. I remember that.
Yeah, so that was a good show.
That's incredible. I think of some of our buddies at Disney, which is now gone. I don't know if you know this, Mark, but it's on the chopping block. Yeah. Soon it will be dead in all the parks.
Wait, what? I knew they killed it off in Disneyland. So it's what are you saying?
Word on the street, it will be dead soon in Florida as well. I don't know about Paris. Paris, I guess, has just been floating in a time capsule. It hasn't been updated in years. But they tell me just the littlest things. Like if a certain puppet's like eye doesn't look right, they'll stop the shows for the rest of the day if they don't have a replacement. And I can only or if there's some kind of technical like malfunction, they'll stop the shows for the rest of the day. I can't even imagine what they would do if a bear's head caught on fire and started smoking in the middle of the show.
They fortunately had more than one bear. There were several of them. So.
Yeah, but that's the kind of thing that like if a puppet catches on fire, they've got to like investigate it and like bring in the, or maybe this was before like they were all too concerned about the unions and OSHA and stuff. But
yeah, there was no concern. There was no concern.
That's awesome.
Shake it off, Brett. I forget who sued when it happened, but
were you there when they converted over into the Playhouse Junior, like the Disney Playhouse?
I had left before that was in the works. It was coming, but I had left. I left to go work on Kermit's Swamp Years. Actually, they started shooting that in Orlando, and I already
2002.
Well, this was 01. This was right after
2001. That's right.
Yeah. So about that time, they were also cutting back on. So I worked part time, and they had come out with an announcement like, well, if you're working part time, we're going to take all of your guest tickets away. So that coupled with, it was very lame. It was very hurtful. They're hurting me again. Kermit Swamp Year started up. I was already, not working a lot as it was, and they were taking my tickets away. So that was pretty much the end of it once Swamp Years started up.
So what did you start off doing at Universal? What was like your first?
Well, I just at Universal I didn't do puppets. It was just my general.
You just worked at the parks. But I'm saying, what did you do over there?
Well, I worked at Granger Integrated Supply. Basically, Granger came in and took over all of the stocking for the park. They took it away from Universal because they just didn't know what they were doing. They had forklifts crashing into each other in the warehouse, and all of the inventory counts were all over the place. The money was hemorrhaging out of the ship. So they brought in a third party to clean it up. And I had planned on working full time at Disney doing the puppets. This was a time period where they were having the union thing was going on. Even then, they were trying to get the puppeteers to be paid equity, like the face actors, and that was pretty much they had told me was going to be a done deal, which would have been enough, to live on. But once I got down there, it didn't happen. So I said, well, the money isn't quite good enough to live. So I'm going to do it part time on the weekends, and then I'd looked for a temp job during the week, and that's where I just landed the Granger job at Universal, which was fun. Because I was in charge of ordering everything for the parks.
So were they like, are we talking like napkins and straws, or are we talking like?
We're talking not the food, none of the restaurant stuff.
I remember my favorite thing you said that you had to order.
Yeah, I know too. I'm trying to get him to say it organically.
Okay. I should have known.
Yeah.
Where we were going.
You're ruining the segue, Nate.
I'm sorry, but not the food stuff. Well, not human food things.
Well, it's
big barrels of things.
Big barrels of liquid smell. Yes,
liquid smell.
That's a great band name. Liquid Smell.
They had smells all over the park. So at the great King Kong ride that they had with the giant animatronic couple of puppets that they had in there, but
back.
The puppets are back. I mean, I know Kong is back.
Well, yeah, the big Kong is back.
A giant animatronic Kong is back.
Which I'm very impressed that I'm very impressed that Universal did that, because Universal is they're so in love with the 3D screens.
I'll tell you what, no one was more surprised than me that happened.
Yeah. In
addition to the new elements.
Let me say that the Kong ride does feature a lot of those 3D screens, but at the end of the ride, sure enough, is that big, gigantic ape.
Well, great. I mean, that's when they need to incorporate both. I know everybody's screen happy, but when you incorporate the screens with the real audio animatronics,
which is why I think the Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey in the castle ride is like still one of the best theme park rides of all time, because it has that blend of both.
One.
Yeah, yes. It's pretty great.
But yeah, I ordered banana breath for the
big old barrels of banana breath.
Big old barrels of banana breath and burnt shark smell.
Burnt Jaws. I forgot about burnt shark smell.
So these would come in like 50-gallon drums?
Oh yeah, huge drums.
Where would they come from? Like, there's just a company.
There's a company that makes liquid smells.
Yeah, Granger's like an industrial company. Granger sells like.
Well, I understand Granger, but I'm saying, like, where did Granger get barrels of burnt?
Well, you had to do that. I mean, I didn't have to do that. I would just buy it. But we had a research department that would find all the places.
I'm just trying to think of like how would you come up with liquid burnt shark?
Yeah, it's
is it any different than perfume
and burnt flesh, and mix it together, and there you have it. Plus a little seaside.
Were there only 2 smells that you ordered, or were there other smells?
There was another smell.
Give us your Rolodex of smells.
Was Islands of Adventure open at this point?
Islands of Adventure was open. They had just opened when I got there too. I got there when all kinds.
This was like 9. So it was 9. This is around 99.
99. This was 99. So I worked at Disney 99 to 01.
Right
and then Universal, I worked there until 04. So I could tell that spooky story that you were referring to.
So this is a kind of an interesting story that Mr. Gale was present at a theme park during one of the greatest tragedies that this nation has seen. So tell me that story, or share that story with us again, because I think it's such a great.
Yeah. So 9/11 happens, and I go into work, and I had actually called in sick the day before. Because I'd had too much fun watching. I remember it was opening weekend of the NFL, so I took Monday off. So I was already feeling, guilty about missing work, and so I go in, and I turn on the TV that morning, and of course, looking at the buildings are on fire. So I get into work, and everybody's flipping out. Disney World is already closed, and so Universal's going to close too, but Granger wanted to keep one person on site for whatever reason, and so I volunteered, Mr. Hero. I forget
how early did all the events happen? It was like before 10 o'clock, right?
Yeah, it was like 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so I worked a weird shift. I worked 10 to 7 or something like that. Or maybe later than that. I'm not sure, but so I get there, and they're like, "Fine, you want to stay? Fantastic." Everybody leaves, and the day goes on. I am, this was, I didn't have a TV. This was pre, you having everything on your phone. So I was kind of in the dark. I mean, I knew obviously what was going on, but I was kind of just in a room, and I decided to go take a walk sometime in the early evening, and I came out into the Universal Park, and my God, boys, I was scared to death because I felt like this is it. I'm the last man on Earth. There's no sound. First of all, there's no.
You're like Charlton Heston in the Omega Man.
Yes.
Or Vincent Price.
You were legend.
Yes, I was legend. There's no sound. There's no planes in the sky. You can't even hear the traffic.
There was no ambient theme park music.
Nothing. It almost felt like I was being watched. You know.
So you were like an abandoned Scooby Doo.
Yes, I was in the
with the crazy android
by myself. With the crazy android.
Zoinks! Hey, Scoob!
So, man,
Scoob,
boys,
where are you, man?
I thought for sure we are done. We've got 3 years at tops before the world blows up. And, well, here we are. Still alive.
It's got to be really surreal.
2.5
yeah.
before the world ends.
Yeah, I gave the over-under April, and we made it. So.
It's got to be really surreal to be in those parks with them just completely empty. It's just got to be quite an experience. Were you in Universal or Islands of Adventure? Which park?
It was Universal. I walked out into Amity with the Jaws area, which I love.
Well, that's why you were scared.
You know, he's just sitting under there, just waiting.
Yeah. But yeah, it was chilling, boys. I mean, just being, and I did walk around. I took a nice long walk around the theme park, and while it was fun, it was also very.
I can say from experience, you know, being an avid park goer during the day, during normal operating hours, and being familiar with the parks, and then I work in both parks as well. Being in there for like overnight rehearsals for things and stuff like that, and it is kind of eerie when you're in an area that's normally packed.
Right, but even then, I mean, even when you're there, you know, after hours, you know, there's always like maintenance people around, and they're just, you know, the sounds of a jackhammer or playing. You know, there's always something. This was nothing. I mean, it was a vacuum of sound.
You didn't even hear animals, no birds.
No, there were no birds. There were no birds. Boys, there were no birds.
You know what? I'm going to be entirely honest. I've never seen a bird in a theme park. I don't know what they do.
What?
Really?
Oh, they're there, man.
They're there. At least the ducks, especially ducks.
That's what I do when I'm at the
ducks
theme
are
park,
worse
I'm
than
avoiding
squirrels.
all the people in costumes. I go and walk around and see what wildlife is there. So
I see lots of squirrels. Don't get me wrong. I see wildlife.
Bunny rabbits in the Magic Kingdom. I was seeing pigeons, local birds and flora and fauna.
Yeah,
all
I don't
sorts
think
of
I've
stuff.
ever seen a bird in a park.
Oh, God.
Let me tell you, I almost got head beamed by a bird in the tunnels in Magic Kingdom because it was down there. It was freaking out. It had no idea where to go, and I was like, I had to do a whole like hit the deck, like literally a whole group of us had to like just dive, make a dive for it because he was
yeah. Well, they have no fear.
Out.
Yeah, well, he was freaking out, but that's the other thing, Dan, is they have no fear. They just come right up to you. They demand. Those ducks demand.
Oh yeah,
food.
I saw there was a squirrel that broke into a restaurant.
Yeah, your squirrel story is pretty great. You have photos of that squirrel, don't you?
I have video of it. Yeah, I have video of it. But Mark, we have a question from the chat. Someone said about Sesame Street 4D and Universal.
Oh yeah,
work on that?
Yeah, I got to do that as well. So that was the following year, I guess it was the next year after Swamp.
Yeah, they were gearing up for that as they laid us all over.
Orlando, James, remember it was going to be like the next hub. They had all these projects planned out. They were, Orlando was going to be, New York Junior, and they were going to start shooting everything at the Disney lot. For some reason, they did this one over at because they were going to do the ride was going to be at Universal Japan, so they shot it at the Universal lot. So that was fun. They had built the entire Sesame Street set right next door to where my day job at Granger was. So that was worlds colliding all over the place because I knew the whole New York gang. I'd worked with them in the past, so I knew the whole Sesame Street guys. I knew all the Disney puppeteers come over from Disney World. So I knew all those people. And then meanwhile, my Granger job people are kind of looking around in the windows too. It's just worlds converging, and I was the center of all of it. And
as things should be.
Yes, as it should be.
So what dolls did you wiggle for the 4D?
I did Narf. He was a big orange monster that was
big head.
Yeah, he had this big head. I'm actually the first puppet that you see in the movie. Big Bird comes in, it blasts open the doors. Narf is sitting on a barrel, and he's reading the newspaper, and he's shaking it around, and he gets the Big Bird kind of bumps into him and knocks into his face. And let me tell you, the performance is stunning.
Does this still exist?
Yes, it's still there. It's still in operation. I think it's on the YouTubes.
Is it on the YouTube?
I'm sure I've seen it somewhere, so I know it's.
Are you still getting your residuals?
Yeah, I do get. I get like 35 cents.
I was gonna say it was like 30. I was gonna say 36.
4 times a year. That's what we're start rolling on. But that was really a fun shoot because it was, you had all these people meeting each other for the first time. And a funny story about that. So the great Fran Brill, you guys know Fran Brill.
Yes.
I had not met Fran.
She was Charles Grodin's wife in Midnight Run.
Wait, did you really play Charles Grodin's wife in that movie?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
That's incredible.
I had absolutely no idea. That's amazing.
What About Bob? She was in What About Bob?
Yes, she was.
I knew she was in What About Bob, but I'll tell you what, I was just thinking about. I was talking to somebody about Midnight Run the other day, and I had
a lot of older women medical need commercials.
Right on.
Okay, well. There's that too.
I'd sit there and watch. It's like, oh look, there's Zoe selling, something.
Yes, Fran Brill. For those who may not know, the original Zoe from Sesame Street, who just
Prairie
Dawn.
She was there at the beginning with Jim and Frank. She's royalty. The original.
She is Muppet and Sesame royalty for sure.
And, she's such a sweetheart, but she's very, very direct. She will tell you what she's thinking, and. We all sit, we're at the first day where everybody's at lunch, so we're at these big, long tables, and I sit down, and all the whole New York gang's there, and Fran, I'm sitting next to Fran, and I'm getting ready to meet Fran, and I'm all excited because I'm going to tell her, she's a hero, but I don't want to seem like a weirdo, you got to break the ice with a hero without coming off as a creep. And everybody's,
which is something you excel at, Mark.
Yeah, and everybody's looking at me. So everybody's looking at me because I know I'm eating, and I noticed that Fran is staring at me. She's, I'm sitting next to her, and she's just, not even like, it's clear that she's looking at me, and she's not saying anything. And I look up back at her, and I'm eating a little bit, and everybody, I can tell I'm going to have to say something for sure because she's really giving me the look, and I turn, and she's the first one to say something, and she goes, Ned Beatty. I'm like, what? She said, Ned Beatty. You look just like Ned Beatty. And I thought, and the whole place just erupts with laughter. What the hell, Fran Brill? You don't even tell Ned Beatty he looks like Ned Beatty.
What the hell, Fran?
Knife right to the chest.
From now on,
I've got to start losing weight.
At least you didn't say you sure got a pretty mouth.
Well,
didn't squeal or anything, right?
No, there was no squealing, no pretty mouths, just Ned Beatty. That's you. And then years later.
Wait, no, but how long was she staring at you before it came to her?
It was very uncomfortable. It was quite clear. I remember looking up at Marty Robinson, and he's looking at me like this, because he knows something big's going to have to happen here. Somebody's going to say something.
That's good Marty face.
So years later, cut back to a couple years ago when I went up to Sesame Street. Fran was there.
Say something, Dan, so we can.
There he is, folks.
Yeah, spitting image, huh?
There's Mr. Gale right there.
There you go.
Otisburg.
But so
look, I could be Mr. Luthor.
Yeah, can you say that, Mark? Mr. Luthor.
Mr. Luthor.
Dude, Dan, we're losing all of your younger audience on your channel right now.
Everybody's turning it off. They're changing
with
the channel.
These references. They're like, what are these old guys talking about?
Kids, listen to this. I go back to Sesame Street a couple years ago. Fran's there again. And I hadn't seen her since, actually. So, and this was her last year at Sesame Street. She was getting ready to retire. So I go up to her and I just, I lay it all out that she's an American institution. I'm not holding back. I'm just so happy. And then, Ryan Dillon of Dillon Gale, the company that I do with Ryan Dillon, Mr. Elmo.
Past and future guest and friend of the podcast, Mr. Ryan Dillon.
Yes.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna have a special Dillon Gale episode in the near future where we have both you on to
That's all coming up. Yes, we've got many exciting things happening at Dillon Gale that we've been working on for a long time. That's why we've been away for a little bit. We've been in the laboratory. But
so Fran,
you flushed when you were done, right?
So well, yes, you have to flush, James.
Make it short.
It's gonna stink. But so I tell her that story again because Ryan is, he's egging it on. He's like, tell her about the, remind her about the Ned Beatty thing. And I thought, well, yeah, I don't know if you remember this, but when we first met, you told me I looked like Ned Beatty. She goes, well, you do look like Ned Beatty. And she went right back into it.
Oh,
that's tremendous.
That's her heart.
That's a great. That's a great.
That's a great Sesame Street story. That's a great puppeteer story right there.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I've got a million of those.
You've been whittling dolls back on the street occasionally. I saw some photos. You were or at least you visited the street.
Yeah, I just visited this past time.
Okay.
Yes, I was up there doing some Dillon Gale secret project work.
Secret stuff.
But yeah, Ryan
secrets are no fun, Mark. Yeah. Secrets.
Well, it's coming. You're just gonna have to hang on.
Do we get the Getting Felt Up / the Disney Dan get the exclusive?
You're gonna get the exclusive. Yes.
Hold you that.
Yeah, we're coming. We're going to force you to do our bidding very, very, very soon. I should also say that Frank the horse has been reborn into a new body.
That's what I've heard, and I am on the edge of my literal seat.
Stand by, boys, because it's happening on Wednesday night.
What? This coming Wednesday?
Coming Wednesday, Frank the horse and Kip from the Dillon Gale series, Ryan's character.
Kip
Baffle are going to do one of these Google Hangouts Wednesday night.
You heard it here, folks.
8 p.m. Eastern time.
Well, it's a good thing we taught you how to set this all up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I set this thing up 2 weeks ago, and it worked just fine. And then tonight, oh my God, I don't know. I got full on panic. Nothing was working. I pulled it together.
I'm very much looking forward to the reveal. So it's a full body suit is what we're going for, right?
It is not. Well, I can't talk about it. I cannot talk about it.
No spoilers. This is no spoilers.
He has gone through many morphs over the last couple of years.
He has.
He's got a little stop motion self.
He's got a towel.
I also
got a towel.
Yeah. There's Frank the towel.
I
do seem to recall seeing a slightly smaller version than the original.
Oh.
Well, you don't know what you saw, James.
No, I don't know.
James, you can't trust your life.
I follow you guys on Instagram. I see these things.
There's a new character called Frank's Old Mouth. We actually took on one of the on rebuilding him.
That's such a wonderful puppetry like meta joke.
He's his own character. He's actually Frank's old snout. So he's got a little body and little hooves and little legs, and he says things that Frank.
Those of you watching right now, do yourself a favor and just go look up Frank the horse.
Particularly,
we were hoping he would join us tonight, but unfortunately, because he's preparing to reveal his work that has been done, his new plastic surgery. But go do yourself a favor. Frank the horse exists on YouTube. He's got his own YouTube channel. You can see the glory that is Frank. And
definitely go to Dillon Gale. Dillon Gale is the better.
Dillon Gale is the one to go.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Frank the horse, the original pitch reel which you may or may not recognize a face that gets punched by Frank's hoof.
Yes.
In the nose.
Frank punched Nate right in the face.
So if you want to see Frank the horse punching Nate right in the face, you can go on YouTube and look up.
We'll put a puppet on just because we know.
There he goes, because we talk about puppets, and here it is.
Oh, hey, look at that beautiful burns.
James is in the puppet.
I could give you a little Dean Marble here.
Oh, there's Dean!
Hello.
Hi, Dean.
Hello. Oops, I lost my rod.
Oh, Dean, you can't. I mean, you should be able to feel if the rod's not in there. You're always in pain. You have no skin.
Oh, I know. It's awful.
You need a lotion. How about a balm? Maybe a salve.
You know, I'm allergic, so you got to be careful with the different creams too.
Oh, they are.
Well, who are you there, Mister?
It's just it's Bernard.
Oh my God! No, everybody's got a puppet but me.
What's happening?
Hold on.
Everyone, all of my
cameras here.
All of my YouTube viewers are getting a taste of my my puppetry.
Is that puppetry what you're doing there?
Yes, I think so.
Not everyone's got a puppet.
Oh, he's a pretty little girl. Look, he's got
who's a pretty girl?
Oh, you're pretty.
Is that a girl puppet, Nate?
No, it's not. I don't think so.
Oh, those aren't bows. Those are horns.
Check it out.
What did you think? You got boobies or something? No.
Bows in your hair.
But no, they're horns.
They're horns.
They're purple horns. Look at that.
Look at that.
Well,
yeah.
All right.
That's right. This is Gregor. He's a ginger.
He's a ginger.
Hello.
He's a wee ginger. Bows in the hair. How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah, maybe if I.
I'm not sure what's happening.
There you are.
Mr. Gale, who built Dean Marvel?
Well, I designed and built the first Dean.
That's a fresh Dean, right?
This is a fresh Dean built by the great Ryan Gale.
I got little boobies now.
You have boobies and nipples.
My belly button.
Where's my boobies?
Belly button. Yeah, I got everything. I got veins on the back of the head.
Good Lord.
Whoa, you even got veins on the back. That's now see that is puppetry.
We're upping our game.
That's a puppetry level deep cut there, because how often do you see the back of a puppet's head?
It's not often.
So is Mark has Ryan been rebuilding most of the Dylan Gale Frank the Horse cast?
He has taken control and practically he's now rebuilt every one of my characters, and of course he's built all his own.
There you are.
So we've got a cast of about 10 people, 10 puppets now. So,
and for those of you who might be fans of the Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal Podcast,
yes,
Mr. Gale was responsible for the puppetry, the puppet little best of video that they did.
Ryan Dillon and also Frankie, the great Frankie Cordero,
future guest of the podcast.
Yes,
I saw those puppets and I was so excited.
Oh yeah!
Yes! Oh yes! Yes! The puppet version of me is brilliant.
Tell us about the guy who played the Joker. What's his name? Cesar Romero.
No, we're not going to tell on the Disney Dan. We're not telling the Cesar Romero story on the Disney.
We're not going into the
Disney.
Disney.
This is the other show.
This is PG-13. We've all been very.
When you guys,
good.
Mark, when you guys thought that up, did you reach out to them like with puppets already?
That was just a whim. Yeah, Ryan was a big fan of the show and introduced us to it.
Oh yes.
And we just thought, well, what the hell? Let's just go ahead and send something off to them and see what happens.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been meaning to ask you guys when that happened, that like how you initially got in contact.
That was it. And
they sent it off and were like, hey,
we
do you
sent it off
like this? And they
bananas. Yeah. So
did you send it to like Gilbert's address or to Frank Santopadre?
Frank Santopadre. Yeah. So he's become our big champion. And
I'm friends with him on YouTube. Facebook as well.
Oh, he's a great guy. So yes, he's helping us out behind the scenes. So
no, yeah, because he called you. It was funny. I remember, Dan, we were listening because we're avid listeners of Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal podcast as well. And Dan was like, dude, they literally listen to this episode at this moment, blah, 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 blah. And I listened to it, and sure enough, because it was on one of the live shows, and he calls you guys out. That's what,
yeah, well,
it was like at the end of the year. Yeah, it was at the end of the year.
We told that we did it because we had, we were waiting for them to talk about it or debut it, so we were having to.
So he kind of like sneakily spoiled it. He was like, "Special thanks to Ryan Dillon and Marc Gale.
Yes,
who have something that's coming."
The phones were ringing off the hook. I remember Dan was What have you guys been doing? You've been on my favorite podcast.
Oh yeah, wait.
I'm like, oh.
Nate and I were like, we were so excited and so mad at the same time. We're like,
yep,
they did what? And they didn't they know how much we love the show too. It's like,
the first time we had Marc Gale on the podcast, he couldn't get it to work either. He had to go on the Mary Kay computer, and he thought he was on the radio. And now look at him. Now he's famous on the Gilbert Gottfried podcast, the podcast that we know and adore. Mark, do your Dan impression one more time for this is on Dan's channel. His people, please do.
Let's talk about. You guys want to talk about Nickelodeon or GAC? Because it's awesome!
What was the character you were going to introduce?
Castle.
What was the character you were going to introduce to Frank the Horse that was based off of me?
Oh, Laughing Brad.
Laughing
Brad.
He's in the works. We're trying to figure out who's going to...
It's just what you do here. We talk, and then Dan will start to laugh, Laughing Brad, and it'll just cut to him laughing for no reason.
I know, he is a laughing MRFer.
Someone in the chat wants to know if Phoebe the Owl will make any appearances in the new Dylan Gale.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Yeah,
Ryan's been slowly bringing in some of his older characters. Louis Gagalga who's now become he's a regular.
He's huge, and his daughter Cassandra.
Yeah, that's him, and so he's a regular now. We're trying to get Phoebe to come in as well, but it's hard to when you're trying to the cast is getting huge now. And when you're trying to sell something, you don't want to bury people with too many characters, but. We can't help ourselves,
I look forward to having the two of you on to talk about all the magic you've been working. So we'll arrange that after the big debut this coming week.
Yes.
So everyone should tune in. What should we look for you on Facebook at Dylan Gale?
Yes, I think so.
Because you're really not on the social media. It's just the Dylan Gale, right?
Who, me?
Yeah, you personally.
Well,
I know you're
social media.
I know you're on Facebook.
I got a Twitter too. I just don't do anything over there.
I also know that it took you about 3 hours to figure out how to turn your computer on today. So
hey. I tell you what,
stand up.
You made me stand up. Now it was this PC. I'm on this PC, and it for work, and it doesn't behave itself.
It doesn't like when you keep hitting the table too. You're shaking everything, Mark.
Yeah, and then I tried to get on the phone to make it where I'm glad I didn't do it that way. But I was almost there on the phone, and then the cookies had to be disabled.
It's literally like talking to my grandmother. We're talking about the internet with you.
I told you we needed to get on this thing like 30 minutes before.
If you guys want,
it's real easy. It's real self-explanatory.
We got up like 5 minutes after 8. It was fine.
It's not too bad. You guys do yourself a favor. Go back into our archives on iTunes and listen to Getting Felt Up. I believe it's like episode 8 or 9 with Mr. Marc Gale, and you can hear the tales of him trying to get on board with us there.
Yeah,
on
there's
show.
There's a bunch of them too. I mean, we did a bunch of things back in the day.
We've done a bunch of things.
Yep.
Look at us. We're still here.
Still together.
Have you come up with any recent new petrifying puppets? Have you encountered anything super scary over the past 2 years or so.
Yeah, because we actually used yours as a basis for comparison when we started that process. You were the inception for the petrifying puppet segment with the opera orange.
Yes, I just talked about the orange today. Oddly enough, I think about that orange every day.
Clearly, it had an effect.
Oh,
it's left a deep scar. Deep scar.
I literally would just lay awake at night and believe, because my face down into the hallway.
For listeners who don't know, there is a stop motion early Sesame Street interstitial called The Opera Orange. And just YouTube it real quick and watch it. And it was very unsettling to Mr. Gale as a child. Mostly because
it is unsettling, though. I mean, it's grainy and it's.
I'm not being crazy here. Yeah.
No, I get where you're coming from.
James, do you agree? I know that. You're on board with this.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to remember the one that I always found creepy, and I can never remember the name of it. And it's from the 70s.
Describe it.
Oh, that's what I'm looking up on my phone. It's a bunch of creepy kids in a spaceship. It was in the 70s.
Oh, The Adventures of Mark Twain or something?
No. This is actual puppets. They are like horrifying, like almost borderline vent figures. They tried to make them look semi-realistic. And they're all in like a homemade spaceship. I can't remember what it's called.
The Adventures of Mark Twain. That stop motion thing.
That is a creepy, disturbing thing with the devil.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it certainly had parts that were horrifying. I remember there was the music was off kilter and black background and some tripped out.
It's really great to watch you, Mark. It's really great to watch you describe these things because I can see them in front of you. You
can see it in his eyes.
I can really see you picturing them in front of you.
I found it.
Oh, what do we got? What is it?
Look up vegetable soup outer scope.
Vegetable soup outer scope?
Yes, that is the creepy, horrifying thing.
We should all do this.
We're all doing this. Everyone on the internet right now.
Everyone on the internet
is looking up vegetable soup. What was it? Vegetable soup?
Yeah, I forgot what it was already.
Ooh, boy.
Wait, outer scope? Vegetable
scope.
Those are not. Those are not.
No,
that's
is this not good?
That's not good.
None of this
horrifying,
is good?
Isn't it?
That's petrifying. That's what that is.
Is this really? Oh no! Oh no!
That's not good.
All right, folks.
And yet somehow I still ended up going into this as a career.
That's just a still of one of the girl puppets of vegetable soup outer scope. No, this is a whole bucket of no right there, my friends. Oh my goodness!
Like that.
Oh.
Well, no wonder.
Just the stills are upsetting me. I can only see it and imagine it in motion.
Can you imagine them moving around?
No. Oh, look they're like behind a.
Yeah, that's not good. Where have you been sitting on that one, James? That's a good one.
Well, I could never remember the name. Speaking of, anybody know what I should do with this?
Hey!
Well, you should save it. What do you do? Put it under. Get it out of the elements, man.
Send them down to Hollywood Studios for the new Star Wars line.
Would someone like that? I'm just ahead.
Is that the Yoda you built for College Humor?
It was the one for College Humor that got canceled. Yes.
Nailed it.
Made it in a night. But we're not doing it anymore.
Oh, and there we go.
Is that the one you built all the Ewoks for?
No, it was another video. It was something.
Okay. We were talking. I loved talking to. I wanted to bring up how you built a bunch of Ewoks when Kirk last week was talking about all the Ewoks he was building and wrangling. He's like, they're just sheets of fur with people in them. It's like all they are. It's like, yeah, James knows.
Easy. He had adults who understood the concept.
Yeah, you had kids.
7-year-olds. And one little person who understood what was going on. And the kids started crying because they couldn't see out of the masks good enough. And they were so afraid of
crying.
So they were all in tears.
You had a bunch of sobbing Ewoks on your hands.
I had a bunch of sobbing Ewoks and one amazing little person dancer.
Wow. That's awesome.
That sounds like a fever dream.
What a great. Oh man.
That is most of my life. Sound like a fever dream.
Well, so we're gonna schedule a follow-up with Mr. Gale and bring in Mr. Dillon to talk about Dylan Gale. I haven't. Is it going to be like 30 minutes and everyone blows up? Is that still the pitch? Part of the pitch?
You guys kind of did away with that a little bit, right? Did away with the 30 minutes only, and then you explode.
Oh yeah. It's a different kind of a concept now, but I can't talk about it yet.
Okay.
I'm trying to get some juicy deets out of you, and you're not.
Just wait for. You're gonna get the exclusive. All right, you're gonna get the exclusive when it comes out.
Okay, I can't wait.
Stand by, and it is coming.
Then we'll post it 3 weeks later.
It is coming. It is gonna be big. Everybody's hands up at the end of the Muppet movie, big.
That's a great image. But should we talk about like back to like theme parks and stuff like that? Some of the previously we talked about like some of our favorite animatronic stuff like that. And I'm thinking about this out loud right now because I know they've announced, or at least The Rock announced, some changes to another classic ride in Disney. Today, I believe it was today, because I know we fear change, but that's what I'm saying. We should talk about it now.
What are they tweaking?
So The Rock, much
Where's Maui? What is Maui dropping into?
To him, like, you know how The Rock has like the insider knowledge. You know how he dropped that tweet about SEAL Team 6 before anybody else knew. Yeah. The Rock knew. Now The Rock knows about the Jungle Cruise, because The Rock is doing a movie based on the Jungle Cruise. And apparently, word on the street, word on the internets, and word on The Rock's Instagram is that he is working hand in hand with Walt Disney Imagineers to alter the Jungle Cruise ride to probably be more, what is assuming to be more of the new movie that is coming out.
Here's what I'll say about all of this kind of plussing up is what Disney calls it, right? Plussing up?
I guess that's the term.
Plussing up, like to take an existing ride and add more magic to it.
Like what they did with Pirates of the Caribbean, adding all the Jack Sparrow stuff.
Or what they did with the Tiki Room when they added Gilbert Gottfried. How well that all worked out.
He wasn't in there for that long.
See, I actually thought that was fine. I'm in the minority. I love the classic show, but I also I thought that was funny. I thought they should. Why not? They should bring in all the Disney birds into the Tiki Room. As
long as they bring in what's the crazy one they had on that one Disney short that Donald is looking for? That's the one I like.
I don't know, but they had a flamingo as a croquet mallet in Alice in Wonderland. That could be in there. Just to break off from that, I want to get back to this Jungle Book thing, but I'm saying what they could do is have different shows. They could have different
rotating shows.
During the day.
You could have the
classic show. You could see the classic show. You could see the Gilbert Gottfried show, and you could see the show with all the birds.
I'm actually very much in support of that. I don't know what ride I was just talking about. Oh, it's what they should be doing with Muppet Vision 3D. They need to shoot a new 9-minute thing and rotate it out, bring some fresh life to that show. I think we talked about this.
We did. We went on and on about this.
That ride, because they just invested out in Florida. I mean, we got Pizza Rizzo now. The Muppets are there.
The Muppet Courtyard is there, and it's there to hopefully stay, and it looks great. So, the Muppet Courtyard is gorgeous.
It's got to be a very cheap way. They don't even really need to use the penguins or the Swedish Chef. Don't even bother. Just open.
Well, what they did,
use them. But Dan, you take that back. Use them.
Getting heated here, folks.
They can come back. They can go away, and then they can
look at the size of his hand. Look at the size of Mark's hand right now. It's really big and foreboding.
Don't make me hit you with this.
But yeah, so circle back around to say that I'm all about them plussing up rides, and they can always remove the stuff if it turns out to be an epic failure.
You got to think about it. You got to think about it in reality. Like, it makes sense to alter. They have to keep up with the times, especially with the kids these days and what they know and
They
what they're familiar with.
They don't have to, Nate. They don't have to.
They do have to.
But I tell you what, they need to on the Jungle Boat. Because
all right, so yeah, what do you think about the Jungle Cruise? So as far as we know, there's no real details, but apparently The Rock is working with Walt Disney Imagineers to alter the Jungle Cruise ride, and
to ensure that at least one guest doesn't return from the jungle.
One guest death.
One guest actually hangs out with Trader Sam and gets their head drunk.
I feel like I don't want to be in a boat with a bunch of people anymore. Okay, I want smaller boats. I want a smaller boat that's just me and my closest friends. And I don't need anybody barking at me, telling jokes. I don't want to hear any more jokes.
You don't want the corny jokes? You don't like the corny banter?
I'm done with it. No, I don't. I'm done with it. I don't want it.
They've got all new corny banter.
All new corny banter, yeah. 2017 corny banter.
No, but I do like the classic feel to it. I mean, I feel the nostalgia for it, but I will say that one is one where it could stand a little more thrill going on. Let's spooky it up a little bit. Let's do something in the.
Do we remember? Do we all remember when they used to shoot the animals?
Mm-hmm.
On that ride? They had like a gun, and they used to like crack shots at the hippos.
Yeah,
they don't do that anymore.
Right? Yeah,
they don't shoot any animals.
Oh, so
anymore.
They wussified it, huh? Is that what they did?
Yeah. Well, they put away the gun. The gun doesn't come out. I think the gun's still there. I haven't been on that ride in a long time. I think the gun's still there. They don't bring it out anymore. And then they just increased the puns.
Yeah.
There's too many people on that boat too. I mean, you really get gypped if you get in the middle. I mean, your legs are touching other old lady legs. I mean, you talk about misery.
You know what they need they need an interactive It's a Small World where you can play Godzilla and walk through kicking It's a Small World characters.
Now that's enough, James.
This is a family
channel. I've long been the proponent of them taking rides, and like I've long said, Carousel of Progress is one of my favorite attractions, but I'd totally be behind them gutting that and turning it into like stages of Walt, like developing like Disney, like through the decades, instead of it being about technology. Like I'm totally behind them doing anything that they want to at least try it out and save all the stuff that they tear apart, and because if we all know what they do with the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland, they make it a totally different ride for 3 months. And if they can do that, I think that they can very easily, change things in rides, see if they work, and then, turn around and now there's no going back with the Tower of Terror
too. Didn't the Space Mountain in California became like Star Wars, right?
It's just projections.
Now, see, that's fine. That's fine. But no one's going to touch the Carousel of Progress.
He still hasn't seen it. Him and his friend, his dirty friend.
Dirty Jeff over there. Frankly, I can't believe the Carousel of Progress has lived this long. I mean, I've heard, over the years, several, they're ripping that thing out, and they never do, and I'm so pleased because it's
almost like I wonder if, and I don't know the details of this, but I wonder if it's like similar, and I only use this as an example. For New York has certain elements of New York City that are now landmarks, like official landmarks, and they can't be touched and they can't be changed. And I wonder if there's something like that. With certain rides in Magic Kingdom, how like it's a small world.
Yeah, I think certain ones that they few of those that are like so close to Walt Disney himself. Here's another thought that I had. Disney should make another park that is all of the old dead rides. So anything they take out, it can live on in the dead.
They can call it Retirement Land.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Mark, that defeats the purpose. What would the theme of that? I mean, just like old crap, Disney's old crap ride.
You're starting to make me mad.
Oh, he got up again. He stood up.
Stand up again.
Oh, I don't know.
That's the third time, Dan.
Well, that's why folks can go to extinct attractions, and they have all the good.
Yes, and also now this new dude, Yesterworld, he's so great on YouTube, and he's got a couple of really great things about like they canceled theme parks, like the whole like Big Thunder. Like there's like a whole like Thunder Mesa is what they called it, which later turned into Big Thunder Mountain and Splash
Put
Mountain.
that in Extinct Land, huh? There you go, Dan. Now you're getting interested, aren't you?
Yep. Yeah. Well, no, but
they could bring back If You Had Wings. You remember that ride?
I remember Wings.
Yeah,
the Kitchen Cabaret.
That was the craziest ride in the history of all rides ever made.
Wings flying through a cornfield for 10 minutes. Why am I here? What the hell is this place?
How much did I pay for this?
Good God. I wanted to go to the shore. No, we're going to drive to Disney World.
You would be a delight at Disney World, James.
Oh, I'm a little ray of sunshine.
He really is. He really is. Have you ever pictured James Voital, that beautiful bald head with some ears on him?
Oh, dear.
Ugh.
Glorious.
The last time we were there, I was still smoking. I was like, where can I smoke here?
It's like
I didn't realize you could drink.
Behind the Tomorrowland Speedway. That's it.
I didn't know there was alcohol in the park for then. I would have just gone to Epcot. Enjoyed myself.
I think the booze is back now, isn't it? In
Magic Kingdom.
Booze is not at Magic Kingdom.
Not
you
Magic
can
Kingdom?
get only in 2 of the restaurants. You can get a glass of wine and or a beer at like Skipper's Canteen and Be Our Guest restaurant. But the booze is flowing like water at any of the other parks.
Had I known that, I would have been there.
Especially at Epcot. So yeah,
that's a recent. I mean, other than Epcot, that's a recent thing though. The flowing booze kind of thing. That's recent that they've like been rolling out the alcohol in other parks.
Because the Food and Wine Festival is just explodes.
Well, that was when I was listening to I was listening to Dana Snyder's podcast with the other guys, the Drunk on Disney.
Drunk on Disney.
Their first dozen episodes is just the different drinks.
Dana Snyder and Guy Hutchison. Yeah, we had a little crossover at one point where we talked about them with Noel, and then they mentioned us on their podcast at one point.
That's right. Back in the day.
Back in the day.
There's another podcast. I don't know if you guys listen to this one. It's called Retro Disney World.
No, I don't.
There's a guy on there that sounds like you, Dan. He's from Pennsylvania, and it's pretty. You guys would
have to fight him. I'll fight him.
You might. Well, they're nice guys. They're very low key. They're very dry. It is very institutionalized, so it's kind of boring. It's like 4 Berts. If you had 4 Berts doing a podcast and just talking about nuts and bolts on chairs and restaurants, and I mean they go deep cuts, but they are very in depth, and their boringness is. I mean, it gets their boringness is so
fascinating.
Infinitely, I know it's very fascinating.
There's nothing more exciting than counting the number of nuts and bolts on a chair.
So. Check it out.
Speaking of which, James, you just reminded me of something because I know Dylan Gale was like, how many benches are in Tomorrowland, Marc Gale?
Well,
because Dylan Gale advertises itself as, do you want to know how many benches are in Tomorrowland?
You just asked the question. We didn't say we know.
Oh, false advertising.
Fake news.
Alternate facts, fake news, Marc Gale.
That reminds me of the small startup website I wanted to make called DizP.com, which is a Disney park bathroom rating service.
There was
that's great. That's a great idea. Actually.
There was.
I own it. I own DizP.com.
You bought DizP.com. You do own it. Just haven't published it.
It's like a Disney bathroom Yelp.
I'll tell you the best place to poop.
Yes. What is the best place to poop?
Over at Hollywood Studios it's the Brown Derby.
How appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. It's wonderful in there.
Well, that sounds like a great place to end the show. So I don't quite possibly think that we could recover from that.
Couldn't choose a better button.
Good night, everybody.
Mr. Gale, where can we find you on the internet? Tell us. Give us some plugs.
Okay, well, on Facebook, we're Dylan Gale, DILLONGALE, Puppetry and Podcasts for Idiots. And we're on Twitter, Dylan Gale, Instagram. We're there too. Idiots are manning the phones right now. And definitely keep your eyes open on Facebook. This Wednesday night, Frank the Horse and Kip Baffle will have a live Google Hangout at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And it is the debut of the new Frank puppet.
Can't wait. I'm going to be there with bells on. Mr. Whitehall, where can people find you?
Under a rock.
Okay, great. Nate, where can people find you?
Right here, natebeagle.com.
No, James, you're on Twitter as Puppet Disaster, right? Are you still?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter.
Are you private or are you?
I'm public.
Did you publicize it?
I mostly retweet things I think are funny.
He's got a few things. He's got Puppet. Do you still do a Puppet a day?
Yeah, you did Puppet a day. Remember
I
that?
use that one when I'm actually doing that, and I haven't had time to do that.
All right. Well, when James is actually building a puppet, he'll jump on a Puppet a day.
We'll get on that again.
But there's a good backlog of a Puppet a day stuff. You should guys go on and find it.
I got real work I have to do.
Why don't you do this? How about this? A puppet every 4 days.
Puppet a week.
Puppet a week.
Puppet a 2 week. Puppet a fortnight.
Puppet a fortnight.
Let me get through all my cruise ship puppets first, and then I'll do
Puppet a lunar cycle.
Hey, a puppet whenever I want.
That's about where we're at, a lunar cycle.
Lunar cycle. Well, all right, then.
That works. Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Elwood3K. Because I haven't changed that yet, but Elwood3K.
And you can find me here on YouTube as well as on Facebook and Twitter as Disney Dan or the Disney Dan on Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of jazz. As always, gentlemen, it's such a pleasure having you here and on every Monday night. James, whenever you're available on Monday nights, just let me know because
normally I'm around.
Here. Yeah,
just text me if
no one's got anything going on Monday nights, except for watching Getting Felt Up Puppetry Podcast live on Disney Dance YouTube channel. So, boys, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Mr. Gale.
Well, thank you, boys.
It's great to have you back.
I will be back more often, and yeah, I'll be back with Ryan. Hopefully,
I feel like back in the day. We used to have a Marc Gill episode every 3 weeks, I feel like. So
I know. I went underground for a while. Heavy working going on. Heavy working.
We're excited to get the exclusive of the new Dylan Gale and see Frank in his new attire.
New body.
And on Wednesday, will Frank's old mouth be there too?
That remains to be seen.
Frank's old mouth.
He is around. So I'm sure he'll appear at some point.
Fantastic. Well, as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. We appreciate all of your support. If you are listening to this on YouTube, I'm on iTunes or Stitcher. Make sure you come and hang out with us almost every Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, more or less. Follow us on Facebook at Getting Felt Up. It's just Getting Felt Up on Twitter, right, Nate?
It's just at Getting Felt Up. Yeah.
Yeah. Getting Felt Up on Twitter.
We got it from initially. It was like a sewing.
Yeah, it was like a knitting.
Before we could do it, but it was like a knitting Twitter handle that had it for a little while, and then they finally got rid of it. So we snagged it.
There. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. And we're live.
Email us at gettingfeltuppodcast@gmail.com.
Yep, and we're live every Monday night, more or less, with our cast of co-hosts and such.
Who's on next Monday?
Next Monday,
is the 8th. We will have Puppeteer and Furchester performer Mr. Andrew Spooner live from England. So he's gonna stay up late. It's gonna be 1 a.m. when he comes in for us, he's gonna stay up late for us and chat with us live. So
he's gonna be cranky.
It'll be quick. I don't think he'll be cranky.
Well, he might be.
He's a pleasant gent.
No, Doctor Who's back on. All the British people are very happy right now.
So we have Andrew Spooner, who is Muppet Treasure Island, and he does Elmo's Uncle Fergus in Furchester.
Yeah, and he was the original. He was the original who? What was the Sesame Street? Was he original somebody on Sesame Street? I can't remember now.
No, because he's English.
I can't think off the top of my head.
That doesn't mean he wasn't an original character on Sesame Street before it got recast to somebody else.
You'll have to tune in next week when we ask him that question.
Yeah, so you just did a cliffhanger, Dan. Nice going.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. Always a pleasure. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.